Hello, everybody. I'm Jackie K. Cooper, and I have got a great guest today. I am so excited about this. We have David Brown, who is publicity for Simon & Schuster, more particularly Atria Books. Correct, David?
Correct.
Yeah. And you and I have been friends on the internet, but this is the first time we've actually had direct communication with each other.
Face to face. We've had phone conversations, but I've never
had email.
I've never had my eyes on you while talking to you.
Yes. But I've watched you do your YouTube things. Now you're on Instagram doing things. How do people
TikTok.
TikTok.
Instagram is the one I haven't never gotten really into. I think because it's very much like, now the video stuff is different, but I do that on TikTok. But Instagram is always like pretty pictures, and I was never one for really making pretty pictures. My social media philosophy has always been good enough is good enough.
Yes.
And that doesn't cut it on Instagram. You have to be really pretty.
But to get to you on TikTok, they just put in David Brown?
No. You go
no.
I don't know why I'm yelling at you.
No. Repeat that.
Atria Mystery Bus. Atria Mystery.
Oh, the Atria Mystery Bus. Atria Mystery Bus. All right. Tell me what your main job in the publicity field, what does that entail?
What the goal is to get coverage for my authors and the books they read, whether that is reviews in the newspaper, in magazines, online, through YouTube channels like yours, interviews, features on the radio, on television, on podcasts, putting them on their book tour, making sure that the public, it's public relations, so making sure that the public knows that these authors exist and their new books are out.
Well, what was your background in public relations that led you to this job?
I didn't really have when I started in publicity, I didn't have a background in publicity.
You just sprang into it.
Well, yeah, I started as an assistant, but I was always into hype. I always liked creating something out of nothing, a story out of something, making someone care about something that perhaps they would never have considered before, and giving them a reason to care about. I've always liked to do that. I did it with a camp basketball team, and I got the results in the local newspaper, and I hyped it up so people would come to no one would come to these games. Were not, it was just camp basketball. It was not a real thing, but I kind of created a storyline and a hype and a legend around it just for fun. I don't know why, but just for fun. And people would come to the games and it would be exciting. And I guess I did my first bit of publicity back then because I got the results of the championship in the local newspaper.
But was your first job specifically in publicity? Was it with Simon & Schuster?
My first, my first job ever?
Your job in publicity ever?
Yeah, my first job in publicity ever was with HarperCollins.
HarperCollins.
Yeah, so my first job
starting pretty big.
I guess, yeah. Well, but I was just it was an entry-level assistant.
But still, it's like, my God, even down here in where I am, it's HarperCollins, Simon & Schuster, Atria.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. So you were saying that you do publicity for your authors. Do you have authors assigned to you, or are there authors that you seek out that you want to represent?
I have authors that are, I don't acquire the authors. I do not bring the authors to Simon & Schuster, but once they're with Simon & Schuster, and specifically the Atria imprint, I either get assigned them or I can request or beg to work with them.
Mm-hmm. And you've worked with some pretty big names.
I've been very lucky.
Yeah. I saw that Jodi Picoult was on your list.
I worked with Jodi Picoult up until she left for Random House. It was probably a very giant mistake on her part to leave the comfort of Emily Bessler and David Brown, but I think she's been doing fine in her new spot. Yeah, I worked with her. Vince Flynn was William Kent Krueger was the first author I believe I was assigned when I first got to Atria.
Was this back before Ordinary Grace?
Yes, yeah, it was before. Yeah, he was doing. He only had his court only. It was at the beginnings of his Cork O'Connor mystery series, and back then he was really just a regional mid-list author. You know, people in-house liked him, but he was really just big in the Midwest or in Minnesota, and he drove around in his tour, Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, did a little run there, and it was always tough to get extra budget to move him around. We used to joke that we were going to do a bake sale for William Kent Krueger so he can get more money to extend it, but he grew and grew and grew and grew, and now he's a huge bestseller, huge on the book club circuit. He's written 3 standalones aside from the William Kent, the Cork O'Connor.
Yeah, I've never read a Cork O'Connor book.
Start with Lightning Strike. If you start with Lightning Strike, he wrote that one fairly recently, and it is a prequel. So it is written as he writes his standalones, you know, in the historical fiction type, but it is within the series, but it's set before book 1 of the series. So it's literally it's a prequel.
I've read the 3 standalones. Ordinary Grace, I can't remember the second one. It was kind of a Huck Finn type book.
This Tender Land.
But I believe The River We Remember is his best.
I agree with you.
Hey, well then it must be right.
I think, yeah. I don't know if it's a very common opinion, but I thought so right away. And then when I remember when you told me that too. So it is a valid opinion. I don't know how common it is.
William Kent Krueger, and I don't want to make it all about William Kent Krueger because I'm talking to you, but William Kent Krueger fits in with the ideal Southern writer. And the reason for that is he writes with melancholy. Pat, you know,
Conroy.
He had it. You know, that was your heart ached when you read Conroy. And there are other writers that, you know, of course, in the South that do that. But William Kent Krueger has that. There's just this, not sadness per se, but just melancholy in each of the characters. I loved it.
He's got South in his heart, even though he's Midwest.
Yeah.
And grew up in Oregon.
And he may have already done it, but he's doing Wild Dunes in Charleston.
Yes.
And I've done that event, and it's fantastic. Mary Alice Monroe just is the nicest. Have you ever met her?
No, never have.
She is, without a doubt, you've got to meet her. She's just one of the best. And she puts on the author's luncheon type thing every year. And it is a great event. And I saw that, you know, William Kent Krueger. What do you call him? WK?
His friends call him Kent. Oh. I like to call him WKK.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
But also, while we're talking about Southern writers, I'm pretty sure I'm right on this. My friend Patty Callahan Henry is now an Atria writer.
Not only is she an Atria writer, I believe she was in the office today.
Today?
Today, yeah.
Well, my gosh, I'm going to see her this weekend.
Oh, you can ask her how the office was.
Yeah, I'll say, what'd you think of David Brown?
I'm not there today, so I didn't get to meet her.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, you're at home.
Yeah.
So you didn't get to, but have you met her?
I have not met her, no.
You know, she's going great guns.
Yeah, she tours. She
tours
like William Kent Krueger. Yeah. Crazy tours, does nonstop energy.
Yep. Way to go. Way to go. Oh, I'm excited because you sent me Terry Hayes' new book. And you had sent me I Am Pilgrim.
Is that when we first became friends?
That's when we first became friends. Out of the blue, this unknown publicist sent me this book and said, I think you'll like this one. And it wasn't just the standard, dear, fill in the blank. We have a book we think you will like. You said, I've read your reviews and I've seen what you like.
I knew you were into
it was a very good letter.
You were into movies too, so I knew that you would like,
movies.
yep, you would like this is a screenwriter who's written a novel.
Yeah. At one time, you told me too that I Am Pilgrim was going to be a film.
It's been optioned, and it's MGM has it. I think the option's about to run out, so they have to either renew or sell it back. But it's been they've been talking about making it a film.
And the new one comes out in January, right?
February.
I knew I had some time because it's huge.
Yeah.
It's gonna. But only his second novel.
That's it. It took him 10 years to write. It took him 5 years to write the first novel, and it took him 10 years to write his second novel.
I guess it has been.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lord. Hope it doesn't take him another 10 years. I'll see the third one. But what else have you got coming up that you're excited about besides Year of the Locust, which is Jerry Hayes' book?
I'm very excited to keep going with Jack Carr. He is a former Navy SEAL who turned himself into one of the premier, if not the hottest, political thriller writer today. He will have his 7th book in his series coming out in May, and then in the fall, he's writing his first nonfiction book, history book, about the Beirut barracks bombing from the 80s that just had its 40th anniversary. So he's going to write a series of history books covering seminal terrorist attacks and the aftermath.
Now, he's not the one that they made a Netflix movie out of, is he?
No, he's the one that they made a Amazon Prime series, The Terminalist.
Yes. Who starred in that?
Chris Pratt.
Yes. And there was talk that they were going to do more.
Yes, they greenlit a prequel and the second season of The Terminalist.
Oh, we'll look forward to that.
Yes.
Now,
so the first thing I think they should be able to start. Most of this prequel was written before everybody went on strike, so they should be able to start up production pretty soon on that.
Now, when you're doing these arranging all this publicity stuff, do you actually go on tour with the author, or do you stay at home, stay where you are?
It varies. I've been going on. I went on tour with Jack Carr actually last summer because his events. I've never seen events for a non-celebrity, non-athlete, non-famous person
like Jack Carr.
I've never seen an event like Jack Carr's events. His events. He's a novelist, but his events are like they look when we go out with a Kevin Hart or a big time athlete. It's remarkable.
What do you think that the reason for that was?
He's just so authentic. He is, he's really, really authentic. He's really personable. He treats his fans
accessible.
He's accessible. He treats his readers all like they're friends. He's very communicative with them on social media, and he is how he presents. Authenticity. That's the number one ingredient.
I will tell you, the publicity circuit is a grind.
You mean going on tour?
Yes.
Oh, it is. Yeah, physical grind.
I mean, I've done it, and just on a very smaller scale. But you think, well, all you did was sit there and sign books and talk to people, and it takes it out of you.
It's exhausting to be on, and it's
To
also,
be on, that's what it is.
but it's also the travel. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but and the travel. Yeah, the travel is tiring. Different city every day, but more so it's being on. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you and I discussed this before we started recording this, but the New York Times bestseller list has become a place that I used to know well. And I would say, oh, I know this person who's got a book there. Oh, I know this person's got a book there, blah, 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 blah. I look at it now and I don't know those people. And the ones that I do know go bloop, 1 week, bloop, 2 weeks, and gone. What has changed? Is it audiobooks or what is it that the popular authors don't have the longevity that they had?
Some do. Like I think Grisham's there for a long time. Right? Some do. Most don't. I think two things have changed. One, the reason you're not recognizing people on the bestseller list is because there is no more media that everybody consumes together. There's no common media. So there are so many popular people, things, music, movies, topics that we will never come into contact with because they're on podcasts and Twitter feeds and TikTok feeds that we will never see in our algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
And what I am being presented as big and important because of what I've scrolled on before is different from what you will be presented because of your algorithm. So we all live in our own media algorithm bubbles. So there are things that we just don't know. I think the perhaps the last thing in the world that everybody knows, right? I think Taylor Swift is the last thing that everybody in the world is familiar with.
Yeah, we all know her.
And that's it. Is there anything else? I mean, everything else is not as ubiquitous as Taylor Swift.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, yes. I mean, somebody my age, and then Amber, my assistant, she's just Swifty, everything. And I think you're onto a point. Whereas people used to vocal more on
We used to have common. We used to seek out entertainment instead of entertainment finding us because of our algorithm.
I remember I looked at the bestseller list one time, and Colleen Hoover had 6 books on the bestseller list or something. I mean, it was just absurd. And I had no idea who Colleen Hoover was. It's like over here somewhere in the distance where I was not focused, this little cottage industry of Colleen Hoover grew up.
Because it takes forever for it to get from those little corners to the places where you would watch it, perhaps learn about her on the Today Show. It takes a long time to get to the off of TikTok onto the Today Show.
Yep.
And the reason why I think that the big names bestseller on the bestseller list, they pop and then disappear. I think there is such a huge emphasis that we as publishers now have for getting pre-orders. I think building the buzz early, collecting pre-orders to use that demand to sell more books into the stores front loads the purchasing of the audience so that week 1 is bigger than week 1 ever was before. But it's so big that week 2 is less than it ever was before, and 3, and then it falls off. That's my theory. I think it's a big focus on pre-orders.
Well, I will tell you, with William Kent Krueger's The River We Remember, I thought I heard of it. It was coming up. I heard of it when it came out. I heard of it from different people writing me to say, have you heard of this book, The River We Remember? I read in a review. I got emails, texts from people saying, best book I ever read. And so for me, I thought, oh, this is going to be one of those books that just stays on the bestseller list, a year. And third week, I think it was. And I can understand your point that, okay, maybe in the past it would be sell 1 million copies over 5 weeks. Now maybe they sell 1 million copies the first week.
Right. Yeah, it's like that.
And then the next week,
and then it falls off because all the other books are doing the same thing and bumping up their week ones, knocking out the bottom part of the bestseller list for the continuing books in weeks 3, 4, and 5. It doesn't mean it stops selling, it just stops. Also, I think it's probably been like 15 years now, but the New York Times list used to be 20 books and now it's 10 or 12, 10 maybe.
I still see 15.
15, but it used to be 20 then. Or it might have used to be double. Yeah, there used to be an extended list. It used to be more. It's a smaller list.
Well, there was always too the rumors that publishers would go out and buy up the books in the selected rated bookstores and skew the list.
I can assure you that
you can neither confirm nor deny.
I can deny that because I don't. That's not the publishers have the budgets that we're working with does not allow that. We would not. It wouldn't make sense.
How long do you stay on a book doing publicity?
It varies. Usually, it varies. There's no rule. We milk it dry. So if it's working, we keep going. But plus also there's so much to do in the lead up to the publication. I'm probably on it longer before it comes out than after it comes out.
Well, I know I tell people in my, I'm, as far as writing books, I'm in a much smaller place than you are. I got a great publisher, Mercer University Press. But anyway, but I tell people who say, I have friends who finally get to, see about a book coming out. And they'll say, once I write it, I'm done. And I said, no. You've got to, it's up to you to publicize that book. Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a much different experience for a publicist to have a partner, an author who is as into the publicity and the promotion as it doesn't work otherwise. It works much better when you have an active participant. Yeah, unfortunately, your job's not, unless you don't want to sell it, but your job is not done if you want to sell the book, you have to work it just as hard as writing. And it's an unnatural thing because some writers are they work by themselves, they sit alone and they write their book. That's their creative style. And then to be on, like we were talking about, it's not natural to them. So it's hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it's necessary work.
Real quick before we sign off on this, where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Born in Brooklyn. In New Jersey. I moved to New Jersey when I was 10.
All right. So just a local boy makes good.
Local boy makes okay.
Yeah. Well, listen, this has been a treat and a pleasure. I've wanted to do this, talk to you for ages now, and you're just so hard to book.
Oh yeah, I'm so hard. So busy.
Just get in line and wait.
Yes. I know why I don't like to do it. It's because my job is to make the authors the star. I'm supposed to be in the background.
But this is fun though.
Yeah, but I get to talk about the authors. So at least a part of it. Oh, no, it is fun. And I love talking to you, but I'm supposed to be in the background. But the fact that we talked about William K. Krueger and we talked about the Year of the Locust. So I was able to talk about Jack Carr. So I talked about the authors. So I made them a star too.
You made it. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
All right, David. Thank you. And we'll do this again, okay?
I would do this all the time with you, Jackie K. Cooper. We should host a show together.
Absolutely. You know, the old man and the young guy.
Old.
Anyway, thank you very much. And this has been Jackie K. Cooper interviewing David Brown.